Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to be tackling computer science.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
and to help us out, we're going to be looking at this great article by Professor Mukesh Tekwani.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one from the
Yeah,
Computer Science Made Easy channel, right?
that's the one. And what we really want to do today, it's not just about defining what computer science is.
Right,
We
right.
want to kind of figure out where do your interests, where could they fit in this massive field?
That's huge.
And what kind of cool careers could you have?
Exactly, yeah.
So Professor Tekwani, in his article, he kind of breaks it down. He's like, okay, there's computer science,
Uh-huh.
there's computer engineering,
Yeah.
there's information technology.
Right.
But, they all involve computers. So, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always like to think of it like building a house.
Okay, I like that.
So you've got your architect,
Okay.
right? They design the house, they plan it all out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the computer scientist, right? They develop the software, they think about how it's all going to work together.
Yeah.
And then you've got the builder,
Yeah.
the one who actually constructs the house.
Puts the pieces together.
Exactly, puts the pieces together. And that's like your computer engineer. They're designing and building the physical stuff, the hardware.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then, you got to have your electrician and your plumber.
Right. To make sure everything works.
Making sure everything is connected, the lights work, the water runs. That's your IT professionals.
Keeping things running smoothly.
Keeping the systems running.
Okay, so each field has its own, focus.
Yeah,
But they all got to work together to get that final product.
absolutely. They're all part of the team.
I like it. So we've got those three main areas.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's even more.
Oh, yeah. It gets even more specialized.
Because he mentions software engineering and then also information systems.
Right. So software engineering, think of that you've got building a regular house, but then you've got building a skyscraper.
Okay, yeah.
It's much more complex.
Complicated.
Exactly. It's large-scale, complicated software systems. That's their specialty.
Okay.
And then information systems, they're kind of almost like real estate agents.
Oh,
They
interesting.
connect the right computer systems to the right businesses.
Oh, okay, to solve specific problems.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay, so we've got this whole, interconnected world
Right.
revolving around computers.
Yeah, it's all connected.
But let's zoom in on just computer science itself.
Okay.
Because Professor Tekwani, he mentions all these different branches.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot.
And it's each one is like a door leading to a totally different adventure.
That's a great way to put it. It's true.
So what's behind door number one?
All right, let's start with software development.
Okay, classic.
Yeah, it's all about building the apps, the programs we use every single day.
So the stuff on our phones?
Yeah, your social media, your games.
Yes.
But also the really complex systems, like the banking systems.
Right.
It's all software.
So they're kind of like the architects of our digital spaces?
Yes.
Yeah.
Designing and building these worlds we live in online.
So cool.
And the thing is, we need more and more software all the time.
Right.
New ideas, new apps. So there's always going to be a need for skilled developers.
That's good to know if you're thinking about a career in this.
Absolutely. Then we have artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Ooh. Now this is where it gets futuristic.
Yeah, this is the really cool stuff.
This is like machines learning to think.
Right. Imagine machines solving problems, maybe even making decisions better than us one day.
Okay, now that's a little scary.
It can be, right? Like all that sci-fi stuff with the robots taking over.
Exactly.
But it's also important to remember that AI can do so much good.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's already all around us.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Think about it. Self-driving cars.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Those recommendations you get, like for books or movies, that's AI.
Oh, that's right.
Even in healthcare, they're using AI to help doctors make diagnoses.
That's wild. So it's like we have this super intelligent partner
Yeah.
helping us solve problems and make life easier.
Exactly. But we do have to be careful, right? We got to use it responsibly.
Right, right. Don't want to let the robots take over completely.
Exactly. All right, how about we shift gears to data science?
Data science, okay?
This is all about making sense of all the data in the world.
Oh, yeah, because there's a ton of it.
A ton of it. And it's just growing and growing. Data scientists, they're like digital detectives.
Ooh, I like that.
Sifting through all this data, looking for clues, finding pattern.
They're like code breakers.
Yeah, they're unlocking the secrets hidden in the data.
That's awesome.
And businesses use that information for everything.
Like what?
predicting what customers are going to buy, designing new products, making their businesses run better. And because there's so much data out there, data scientists, they're in high demand.
It's like finding a treasure map, but it's hidden in like mountains of ones and zeros.
Exactly. All right, now let's talk about the people who keep our digital world connected.
Okay, the internet people.
Yeah, the networking pros, they're the ones keeping the internet humming along.
Right.
Think of them like architects and traffic controllers, but for the internet.
Okay.
They make sure data flows smoothly and securely all over the globe.
So we can send emails and...
Emails, browse websites.
Browse websites?
Watch videos.
Chat with our friends?
Yeah. Without them, we'd be back in the dark ages of dial-up.
Ooh, I don't miss those days.
Nobody does.
Okay, so they're kind of like the unsung heroes.
They are, keeping our digital lives running.
Okay, but with all this connectivity comes danger, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're talking about cyber attacks.
Hackers.
Hackers. And that's where the cybersecurity experts come in.
Okay, the good guys.
The good guys. They're like digital guardians.
So they're, what, like looking for vulnerabilities?
They're analyzing systems, developing security protocols,
Okay.
and responding to threats all the time.
It's like a constant battle.
It is. It's like cat and mouse with the bad guys.
Trying to stay one step ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's high stakes, you know.
Yeah.
Cyber attacks, they can disrupt businesses, steal information,
Yeah.
even threaten national security.
Wow. Okay, and then the last one, he mentions systems engineering.
Oh, yeah. Systems engineering.
Huh.
That's all about designing and managing these big, complex computer systems,
Yeah.
making sure all the hardware, the software, the networks, everything works together perfectly.
So like the conductor of an orchestra?
That's a great way to put it, making sure each instrument is in tune and playing its part.
I like it. So they're building data centers and like optimizing the cloud.
All that, they're behind the scenes, making sure the digital world runs smoothly.
It's amazing. It's like all these different branches.
Yeah.
They all have their own specialties, but they're all connected.
Right, exactly.
It's like a big web.
And, you know, Professor Tekwani makes a great point about this. He says, imagine you've got a software developer working with a data scientist
Okay. Yeah.
to make an AI-powered app. They got to understand each other, got to collaborate to make it work.
Right, right.
Or what about a cybersecurity expert teaming up with a network engineer
Okay.
to make a system super secure? Collaboration is key.
Absolutely. So you can't just stay in your own little corner.
Nope.
You got to be able to work with others.
Got to work together.
That's really interesting.
It is, and that's what's so cool about it. You don't have to be like a master of everything in computer science to actually do something really cool.
Well, that's good to hear because it does seem kind of overwhelming.
It's a lot, yeah. But Professor Tekwani, he makes this really good point.
Right.
Even just knowing the basics of computer science can be like super powerful.
Right.
Especially in the world we live in today.
It's true. We're surrounded by technology.
Exactly. Your phone, your car, even like some refrigerators now have computers in them.
It's wild.
But if you understand even a little bit about like how things work, how the software is built, how data is used,
Right.
it changes how you interact with all that stuff.
Okay, so what kind of skills are we talking about here? It's more than just coding, right?
Oh yeah, coding is important, but it's just one piece.
Okay.
Professor Tekwani really emphasizes this thing called computational thinking.
Computational thinking.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
It's basically a way of thinking about problems. Like, you break them down into smaller steps.
Okay.
You look for patterns. You think logically, you know.
So it's like having a mental toolkit for problem solving.
Exactly.
But you can use it for anything, not just computer stuff.
Exactly. It's useful no matter what you're doing, whether you're trying to debug a program or just like organize your closet.
I like that.
And the cool thing is you can actually practice and get better at it. Yeah, there's tons of stuff online, like tutorials, even games that can help you develop that computational thinking.
So it's like learning a new language almost.
It is. It's like a whole new way of thinking about things.
That's cool. So once you have that foundation, then you can start exploring the different areas.
Exactly.
Like AI, if you're into that.
Right. If you want to teach machines how to learn, or maybe cybersecurity if you're more into like the whole protecting systems thing.
It's like a buffet of options.
It is. And the best part, you don't have to just pick one.
Oh, really?
A lot of these areas, they kind of overlap and connect with each other.
Okay.
So like you could be a software developer, but also know a lot about data science.
Right.
And that would make you even better at building really powerful applications.
So it's like you're not just specializing in one little thing.
Right.
You're understanding how all the pieces fit together.
Exactly. And that's what makes a career in computer science so interesting.
Yeah, you're always learning, always growing. So Professor Tekwani, he also gives some advice,
Yeah.
right? For people thinking about actually going into this field.
He does. He does. He talks about the importance of having a good foundation in math and science.
Okay, that makes sense.
It might seem kind of obvious, but it's super important,
Yeah.
you know? Like algebra, calculus, even physics.
Yeah.
Those will really help you understand those more complicated computer science ideas.
It's like you need a strong foundation if you want to build a tall building.
Exactly. And he also talks a lot about problem solving and critical thinking skills.
Okay.
Because computer science, it's really all about solving problems, figuring things out.
Right.
It's a field for people who like to tinker, experiment, think outside the box.
So it's not just about memorizing facts.
Nope.
You got to be able to actually use what,
You got to think. And another really important thing is teamwork.
Oh, right, because you're not just working by yourself usually.
Yeah, in the real world, you're almost always working on a team.
Okay.
So being able to communicate well, listen to others, work together.
Yeah.
Those are super important skills, too.
So it's not just about being like a lone wolf coder. You got to be able to collaborate.
You got to be a team player. And Professor Tekwani also says it's really important to get practical experience.
Okay, so like internships, stuff like that.
Yeah, internships, personal projects, even contributing to open source software.
So it's one thing to learn about it in the classroom,
Right.
but it's different when you're actually doing it.
Exactly. Hands-on experience, that's what really makes it stick.
And it looks good on a resume, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It shows employers that you can actually walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
It's like learning to ride a bike. You can read all about it, but you won't really know until you try it.
Perfect analogy. And one last thing he mentions,
Oh, yeah.
networking.
Networking.
Like
yeah.
connecting with people in the industry, going to conferences, joining online groups.
That can be kind of scary, though.
It can be, but honestly, just start by reaching out to people you admire. Go to those webinars, join those forums, The computer science community is actually really welcoming.
Yeah.
People love to help each other out and share what they know.
So it's like finding your tribe.
Exactly. A group of people who get excited about the same stuff you do.
That's awesome.
And when you're surrounded by people like that, you learn faster, you get more support.
Makes sense. So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
From all the different branches of computer science to like the skills you need and how to get experience.
It's a lot.
So before we wrap up, what are some of the key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember?
I think the main thing to remember is computer science, it's not just for geniuses or something.
Yeah.
It's really for anyone.
Okay.
As long as you're curious, you're willing to learn, you like solving problems.
Yeah, I love that because it makes it seem way less intimidating.
Exactly. And that's really what Professor Tekwani is saying in his article.
Right.
Anyone can find their place in this field.
Like an adventure, right?
Yeah. It is. There's so much to explore.
So many different paths you can take.
And remember, it's not just about the destination.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
also about, the journey.
The stuff you learn along the way.
The skills, the people you meet, the experiences, all that is super valuable.
No matter what you end up doing.
Exactly. It's all about growing and learning.
Yeah, keep that growth mindset.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for help, there's a whole community out there.
Right. Everyone's been so helpful.
People are super supportive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into computer science, let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you could use computer science to change the world, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What problem would you solve? What amazing thing would you create?
That's tough. There's so much you could do.
Right.
Well, for me, I think I'd focus on using AI to, help with climate change.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Developing systems that could make energy use more efficient,
Okay.
reduce waste, stuff like that.
That's amazing. It really shows you how powerful this stuff can be.
It is. And you know what? You could totally do that.
I could.
Yeah. Maybe create a system that makes education accessible for everyone in the world.
Ooh, that would be incredible.
Imagine that. No matter where you live, you could learn anything you want.
That's a great goal.
The possibilities are endless.
It's true. Computer science could really make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to be a genius to make a difference.
Right.
Just be curious, be willing to learn, and be passionate about making the world a better place.
Well said. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the next big innovator, changing the world with computer science.
I hope so.
That's it for today's deep dive, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.